Hello, my name is Ryan Oates. I'm a volunteer with Solidarity Lowell. Welcome to Deep Dive. You may have seen the news this Tuesday. The Lowell City Council had a public hearing about an ordinance to ban camping in the city, as well as ban sleeping on the sidewalk. The ordinance would effectively criminalize homelessness. And spoiler alert, it passed. It passed almost unanimously. I say almost because the only councilor who voted against it was our friend, Councilor Wayne Jeunesse. I think we should appreciate Councilor Jeunesse's willingness to do the right thing even when the other councilors did not follow suit. So feel free to send him a thank you at district4lowell@gmail.com. While there's plenty to unpack about what led to the councilors' decisions, and there's a lot to say about the harm that this policy is going to have on the unhoused, I want to focus today on the many concerned community members who came to speak out against this ordinance. There were not one, not two, but 27 everyday people who came to have their voices heard, not to mention the packed gallery of at least 100 people. So let's take a listen to what everyone had to say. First things first, let's get a sense of who all was in the room to speak out against this ordinance.
I'm Ann Eisler, and I'm from finally off the streets. Last October.
I am a UMass Lowell nursing student who is concerned about Lowell's homeless population since my family has volunteered to help unhoused people in the city for the past few years.
I'm a mathematics student at the University of Massachusetts Lowell.
I'm a senior at UMass Lowell. I'm very involved on campus. I'm studying finance and marketing right now. This is not really something I've ever pictured myself doing.
I came to Lowell in 2021 as a queer person attempting to escape an abusive, transphobic, and ableist household.
I'm a resident of District 4 here in Lowell. Moved here from Dracut after a difficult time in my life. To me, Lowell represents the ability to exist as myself. As such, Lowell is a city that is very meaningful to me.
I've worked in Lowell. I was born in Lowell. I still have family in Lowell. I've been a community organizer and civic engagement coordinator with Lowell Lions for 2 years. So I've been in the community for a couple years now.
I work at House of Hope on Fletcher Street.
I'm a residential counselor for individual homeless services with community teamwork. I'm here reading the remarks of Dr. Krista Hodap, a professor at UMass Lowell.
I'm also a faculty member in the psychology department at the University of Massachusetts Lowell.
I live and work in Lowell, and I have a disability, and I'd like to talk about that tonight.
I'm board president of Merrimack Valley Project, but I speak to you tonight as a resident of Lowell.
I'm a certified peer specialist, recovery coach, and harm reductionist in the city of Lowell, and I have been for the last 9 years.
This is my first time speaking at City Council.
I am the owner of A Day of Shame Records, located at 250 Jackson Street, known as Mill Number 5.
I am a business owner of Over the Spoon, also located at Mill Number 5, and I'm the director of operations at Mill Number 5. My comments tonight are my own.
So people from a wide variety of backgrounds came to speak up for the unhoused. And as I listened to what everyone had to say, some themes emerged. So first, we're going to look at the first major theme, which is the general ineffectiveness of this policy and the actual harm that it's going to cause.
I've worked so hard in my life. I've worked a lot of jobs where I've been seen as a good worker. And I got a degree from Middlesex Community College. I have a degree from UMass Lowell. And it didn't matter at the end of the day because I still had to sleep in my car. Or I had to couch hop. And I still consider myself very lucky and very privileged that I didn't have to sleep outside. And although it was very temporary at a dark time in my life, I still wouldn't want anyone to go through that. And it can happen to anybody, any of us. So I love this city. And I'm begging you, I'm not asking, I'm begging you not to pass this ordinance. Because it will do more harm than good.
I have friends my age who experienced homelessness, and to hear my friends and to hear maybe me in a different life and in a slightly less lucky situation be treated like a pest problem makes me feel scared and threatened.
A number of my unhoused neighbors I have gone to the grocery store with. I have taken them to see their caseworkers at various agencies because many of these people are seeking help. I've taken them to medical appointments, and I've kept track of their medical appointments because it's very, very difficult to keep your life organized when achieving the bare means of subsistence takes up a really inordinate amount of time. For instance, an arrest under an ordinance like this, where you are taken in and dropped off somewhere you might not be familiar with, you don't know what time it is, you might not have the means to contact somebody who has been helping you. People can die. And I know people who have died.
And I hear from the opposition a lot of talk that is similar to the bootstrap rhetoric, that all you have to do is work harder, that all you have to do is push yourself to the bone. And these people that are at the risk of losing their homes, their tent cities, these are people that have tried and failed to pull themselves up by the bootstraps. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, the cruelest thing you can ask a man to do with no shoes is to pull himself up by the bootstrap.
The only way I can imagine the ban actually reducing camping in Lowell is if the campers were arrested and thrown in jail, and people should not be arrested and jailed for being poor. I don't think that's a good solution here.
Keeping an open mind and honoring self-determination, that is what this is about. This is what my job is about. Without self-determination, what is the point of recovery? If someone is forced into something, regardless of what that could be, what is the point? Unhoused or not.
We don't throw people away. We don't institutionalize them against their will.
Very simply, this, arresting people and clearing encampments will and is another form of trauma, and it's not just a form of trauma at the individual level. It can have intergenerational consequences, and it can also have community-wide consequences. So I really just want to, again, reinforce kind of some of the stories that people have told from the psychosocial and systematic lens. We should not be, as a city, enforcing and voting for another form of trauma for our communities.
So it's going to hurt people. It's not going to help. It's bad public policy. While the council wants to focus on the most visible part of the problem, the people themselves who are unhoused, many of the speakers emphasize the need to instead focus on the root causes of homelessness. Recent research has pointed to income inequality as one of the drivers of homelessness, and we're living at a time when, since 1990, the wealth of the top 10% has increased dramatically, even as the bottom 50% remain the same. As Giovanna Mason puts it,
it's not the needy who are a problem in this world, it is the greedy. Thank you.
So let's hear some more of those root causes.
Without addressing the root causes that lead people to set up shelters and tents in the first place, simply moving them around or imposing legal hurdles will only exacerbate their already difficult circumstances. Making their lives harder is unlikely to resolve the underlying issues here.
But the homeless issue isn't going to go away by putting people in jail.
We wonder, why would you enact this ordinance before there are proposed solutions in place? Will the vulnerable people who are thrust into another crisis participate in a program run by the very people who disrupted their community?
Forcing them to leave is not a solution, and it won't address the systemic issues that cause homelessness in the first place. Even if some individuals do leave as a result of this ban, they will simply be replaced by others because the housing crisis is real. The number of housing insecure individuals is growing, and until we address the root causes of this crisis, lack of affordable housing and well-paying jobs, inadequate mental health and addiction services, and a broken system of support, these problems will only persist.
Federal and other cuts in subsidized housing, coupled with an overwhelming housing crisis in the United States, has greatly limited access to safe and affordable housing for survivors and their children. Domestic violence is one of the leading causes of homelessness for women and children. For instance, in 2022, 1,642 domestic violence programs were unable to meet over 6,748 requests for housing services. On average, it takes a homeless family 6 to 8 months to secure housing.
Speakers also pointed to some of the issues with the services currently available at the Lowell Transitional Living Center, LTLC, which is currently underfunded by the state.
We do not have safe places for unhoused folks to go.
in the city. The LTLC is operating in a crumbling building, and we lost the Life Connection Center, which provided safe bathroom facilities, showers, and food.
Also, even if there was enough space in the Lowell Transitional Living Center, I don't believe people should be forced to stay there. The shelter is understaffed, infested with rodents, cockroaches, and bed bugs. The individuals who run the shelter are hardworking and commendable for their service. I'm not trying to be down on them, but I understand why many people might choose not to live in the shelter.
Not saying it's a perfect situation, so I get why people go back there. I do. I'm actually close to going back out on the street due to mice and mold.
So we need more funding for the LTLC, and we also need some other solutions.
Every time folks from the Emergency Housing Coalition attend this meeting, I hear from counselors responding, telling us to offer solutions.
Okay, so don't just speak, give us the solution. You come up and you speak and you throw it on us, and we sit here going, okay, where do we go? And if there are places, I would like one of the speakers to come up and tell us how to do it.
And every time I hear them speak, I hear them offer solutions and ideas and creative solutions and opportunities.
The only real sustainable solution is improving and funding our public resources.
The city should be providing affordable housing, adequate halfway housing and shelter, and social services if it is indeed concerned about the living conditions within the unhoused encampments.
So yes, these mental health places do have to open back up.
On October 17th, the director of LTLC made a post asking counselors about their plans for increased mental health services, substance abuse programs, or actually affordable housing.
And joining other Massachusetts cities and pressuring the state legislature to lift the ban on rent control.
But there are some proven models that work. There are only 2 countries in Europe where homelessness is decreasing, Denmark and Finland. Both of these countries follow a housing first model. In Finland, and I'm going to quote from The Guardian here, since the launch of Housing First in 2008, the number of long-term homeless people in Finland has fallen by more than 35%.
You want to arrest them all, but arresting everybody that's still out there, why can't we find them? Everybody, if you want to do this ordinance, then fine, do it, but make sure that everybody that's out on the street first is provided housing. That's all I ask. And have a heart. Thank you.
Sounds good to me. Of course, funding for all of these services will require state and federal governments to raise a lot of financial resources. Where do we get those resources, you may ask? To that I say, tax the billionaires.
The French have a term called noblesse oblige. And my French is kind of rusty, but I believe that rounds up to if you have the means to help those in need, you should.
It's not that complicated. When the wealthiest among us pay their fair share, we can afford to build out our social safety nets and, build everyone a better life. But to get those things done, we're going to have to look beyond just the city.
I understand that the city of Lowell cannot solve this by themselves. Since Representative Elliott and Senator Kennedy both have been members of this body, and City Manager Golden has been a state representative for ever so many years. So I would assume, I'm echoing what was said before, you must still be in touch with your former colleagues. Please reach out to your friends, not only our state delegation, but also the people that you have made contacts with in your many years in the State House.
And I know we said we're mad at the state level. Well, I don't know because I haven't been here, but I'm wondering, what are we doing? Have we reached out enough? Have we made the case that, hey, we need help?
In September, many of the advocates here today met with State Representative Van Howard to talk about the unhoused population. Many of us also worked to elect Tara Hong because major tenets of his campaign were affordable housing and homelessness. I'm excited to have a team of people to work with.
Rather than pitting us, the ones that have houses, against those that do not have houses and making it one against the other, let's come together. The city of Lowell has a long history of solving difficult problems. Let's come together, let's find the help we need, and let's find a solution that is beneficial for everybody, whether housed or unhoused. Thank you.
While I'm saddened by the horrifying effects that this policy is going to have on the unhoused, seeing everyone who showed up to speak against it gives me hope. And in the words of Romanian-born Holocaust survivor, professor, and political activist Elie Wiesel, there may be times when we're powerless to prevent injustice, but there must never be a time when we fail to protest. Hope to see you out there.